Palmer, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I want to jump right in with this op-ed you wrote last summer in the Washington Post. It was titled, "Silicon Valley Should Stop Ostracizing the Military." You essentially argue that Silicon Valley tech companies should be working more closely with the US military, especially in the field of AI. What's interesting is that Microsoft, Google, and Amazon have all received a lot of pushback from employees over their work on military projects. I'm curious, since you published that op-ed last August, how has the conversation in your circles changed? Has it?
Yeah, I mean, it's shifted an enormous amount. I mean, you've been paying probably attention to all the stuff with Huawei and with Chinese influence on American tech companies, on American technology consumers. I'd say a couple years ago, this idea that we needed our biggest tech companies to work hand in hand with the US government to stop really the Chinese threat above all of the other threats, but also Russia and also these other nations that are kind of running in the same circles. It was kind of a radical idea in the technology industry, and now a lot of the same people who were saying 2 years ago, oh, this is not a real problem, we need to focus on domestic problems, they're saying, okay, maybe China is doing something, maybe we do need to do something to help. So I think the conversation has really shifted over the last couple of years, and people are changing their minds about what the top threats are.
And since you left Facebook a couple years ago in Oculus, you have a company in the military tech space called Anduril. Can you explain what the company's mission is and what you're working on? You have a lot of big backers, including Peter Thiel.
Sure, so we make machines work better with people. We build autonomous systems, autonomous sensors for Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Defense. So we make all kinds of stuff. We make autonomous helicopter drones that are able to support warfighters. We make autonomous sentry towers that are able to basically monitor all threats in an area and report them autonomously to all the people that are tasked with responding to these threats. And the reason that I got into the space was pretty simple. On the one side, you have all these traditional defense companies, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and those guys are very good at building last generation systems, submarines, fighter planes, things like that, but they don't have the people or the talent to build artificial intelligence or autonomous systems. It's just not in their DNA. On the other side, you have big tech companies. They've scooped up all the top talent when it comes to autonomy and autonomous systems and autonomous robotics and machines. And they refuse to work on technology. So you have people who will work on defense but can't in this space, and then people who can but refuse to. So I wanted to start a company where we could get really good people and work on military problems, and we've had a lot of success doing that. We do a lot of work with DoD and DHS.
And I'm not sure if you've confirmed this, but it was reported in March that you won this Project Maven AI defense contract with the military. That's the very project that Google got a lot of internal pushback from employees for wanting to be a part of in that same project. Can you tell us anything about that work? I mean, I know there's confidentiality with military work.
Sure, so I can't talk about our work specifically one way or the other, but I can say that Google made the wrong decision pulling out on the US military, and they proved a lot of the old guard right. There were a lot of people in the military industrial defense complex saying, don't work with Google, don't work with these other tech companies, they're not in it for the long haul, they're influenced by the Chinese, they're going to pull out the second it gets tough because they want to have access to the Chinese market. And then when they pulled out of Project Maven, they proved all those people right, and that made it hard for everybody, little defense companies and bigger tech companies that want to work with the DoD.
What about the virtual border wall work that you've been doing? Is that still ongoing?
Sure, we continue to do that. So we've been deploying our sentry towers along the US southern border. We're going to be starting to deploy them along some other borders as well. We've been expanding that over time. Basically, we're building a system that tells you when and basically what is everything on the border doing. So where are all the vehicles, where are all of the people, where are all of the drones? And then it allows Border Patrol agents to basically have full omniscience over their area of operation. So they know what they're responding to, they know how to respond effectively, and they know what kinds of threats they're facing or not facing in each individual engagement.
I want to get your thoughts quickly on the conversation right now about breaking up big tech,
sure.
Particularly Facebook. Facebook argues that doing so would empower Chinese competitors, which feels very much geared towards this current administration in terms of rhetoric. Where do you fall in that debate, particularly with Facebook? I know you've been out of the company for a couple years.
Yeah, I mean, I've been out of the company for a few years, so it's hard for me to say that I know exactly what the solution to all of these problems are. Also, I lean libertarian, so antitrust is not the first thing that I jump to when I think about solving these problems. That said, it is inarguably true that China does have these big tech companies. We do generally give access to them. So Alibaba, Baidu, they haven't really taken off over here, but they do have access to our markets, and they are not going to be broken up. The Chinese government is as protectionist as it gets. They love to sell us stuff and keep our stuff out of their own country, and they don't have any problem with flexing their muscle to unfairly reward their domestic companies. So we should keep that in mind in anything we do. We don't want to accidentally give the Chinese a huge advantage in any area, whether it's social media, drones, automotive, telecom, or anywhere else.
All right, that's all the time we have. Palmer, thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.